Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Malaysian Thai Chamber of Commerce, or MTCC, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome all of you today to MTCC webinar on building resilience through Thailand investment opportunity and support. My name is Rungnapa, and I will be your MC today. We are really glad to have you here, and we appreciate your time. We have two guest speakers this morning giving and public and private investment view in Thailand, starting with Mr. Supersit Sai Pan. He is the experienced consultant from Thailand Gippins, who is expertise on corporate and commercial law. He will share on the topic navigating key legal issue during COVID-19. Then followed by Mr. Pallok Bunyasiri, Director Thai Enterprise Development Division, Thailand Board of Investment, who has experience in enterprise investment over 30 years. He will provide an update on the latest investment opportunity in Thailand. Before I start, I would like to remind everyone that we will have Q&A at the end of the session. We encourage you to leave your question by pressing Q&A at the bottom of your monitor and we will bring it up later. We really appreciate your cooperation. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Kim Bu, MTCC Chairwoman, to give an opening remark. Over to you, Dr. Kim.
Good morning. Can everybody see me? Yes. Okay. Dang, I think you forgot to turn on your video, so we didn't see you just now. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our MTCC webinar, Building Resilience Through Thailand Investment Opportunity and Support. We also have some participants from Malaysia dialing in, so thank you for participating in this webinar as well. We'd like to thank our speaker, Kun Supasit and Kun Pallok, for their time in giving us this presentation. This is indeed a very challenging time for all, some more than others, regardless of the size of company, everyone feeling the impact to different degree. So of course, one of the coping measures for the Thai government is to attract more foreign investment. Everyone is looking for different ways to rebound their business, and we hope you get some insight from our speakers today and what Thailand has to offer. MTCC will continue to support our business in any way we could, so please contact us whenever you need any assistance. So without further ado, wasting your time, let me pass this to our first speaker, Kun Supasit, who's going to talk about navigating key legal issue during COVID-19. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind introductions, Dr. Kim Bu. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this seminar. It is my privilege to be speaking here with you today. And before I start, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Malaysian Thai Chamber of Commerce for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. By way of introduction, my name is Supasit Saipan. I am a consultant at the Corporate and Commercial Department of Thailand Gippins International Limited. I specialize in corporate laws and also foreign direct investment laws here. The topic of my discussion today will be on navigating key legal issues during the COVID-19. Before I begin, please give me a few moments to share my presentation slide with you. Okay, can everyone see my slide?
Yes.
Okay, so the topic of my discussion, as I said earlier, will be navigating key legal issues during COVID-19 crisis. The focus will be on the relief measures introduced and implemented by the Thai government during the past few months to help affected businesses, the general public, and also foreigners staying in Thailand during the COVID-19 pandemic. So these measures include a variety of key areas, for example, compliance with corporate duties, relaxation of tax obligations, and also tax filing, amendment of labor laws to help with the Thai labor workforce, and also on visa and relief measures to affected foreigners who could not leave the country due to the close down of borders and also restriction on arrival of foreigners to Thailand. So the first focus will be on visa relief measures. As you may be aware, on March 26th of this year, the Thai government issued an declaration of state emergency, which include close down of borders and also restriction on arrival of foreigners to Thailand. So this has created slight problem for foreigners staying and working here in Thailand, because it would mean that they cannot leave the country for their visa extension. So to combat this issue, the Ministry of Interior, which is the regulatory authorities on visa and immigration matters, have introduced relief measures to affected foreigners. The first key relief measures came on April 7 in the form of an announcement which include key relief measures. The first one being automatic extension of visa due to expire on or after March 26. So foreigners of all types holding all type of visa and of all nationalities will be granted automatic visa extension from March 26 to April 30th until the situation in Thailand has improved. The second key issue is the waiver of the 90-day reporting duties. Foreigners in Thailand who stayed in Thailand for a period longer than 90 days has the obligation to submit report documents to the Immigration Bureau to report their whereabouts. So because of the COVID-19 situation, the Ministry of Interior has waived this 90-day reporting requirement until the situation in Thailand has improved to normal. Because the COVID-19 in Thailand has not been significantly improved, we still have daily rate of infection. So on October 1st, the Ministry of Interior has issued its fourth announcement in regard to visa relief measures to help affected foreigners who continue to be affected by the closure of international borders. So this is the fourth extension of visa extension, whereby visa amnesty is granted to foreigners who are unable to leave the country. Their visa will be again extended for the fourth time from October 1st to October 31st. This visa amnesty is applicable to all foreigners of all nationality holding all type of visa, whether it be business visa or tourist visa. So as I said, the fourth announcement which granted the fourth time extension of visa is given to foreigners up until October 31st of this year. After October 31st, foreigners who wish to continue staying in Thailand must now apply for permission from the Immigration Bureau to have their extension of stay permitted. So if approval is granted, foreigner will be able to stay after October 31st. Their visa will start from the period of November 1st. And according to my latest consultation with the Immigration Bureau, if approval is granted, the visa will be continued for the additional 2 months period, starting from November 1st to December 31st of this year. And in case foreigners who continue staying in Thailand without approval from the Immigration Bureau, they could be subject to overstay fines. The next key issue I will focus is on corporate relief measures. As you know, there are many types of juristic entities under Thai laws. The main one being private company, public companies, trade association, and also chamber of commerce. These all type of juristic entities are subject to corporate requirements. The key one being annual general meetings of the shareholders, which must occur every year to approve important agendas of the juristic entities. I will focus on private and public companies in regard to this key relief measure. For private and public company, they have the main duty to hold an annual general meetings of the shareholder, which is known in short as the AGM. The AGM main purpose is to consider and approve the balance sheet and also the audited financial statement of the company each year. The law requires that the AGM is held within 4 months after the end of the fiscal period. I would say 90% of companies in Thailand have the fiscal period starting from January 1st of each year and ending on 31st, which means that they are required by law to hold an AGM within April 30th of each year, which is within 4 months after the end of the fiscal period. So failure to do so, the company could be subject to late fines by the Ministry of Commerce. So here is the general process for holding the AGM. First, the board of directors has to hold board of director meeting to call for the AGM. Then they must publish AGM notice in a local newspaper and mail the AGM notice to the shareholder of the company. This is required to be done at least 7 days in advance of the planned AGM date. And the third step is to hold the AGM whereby the shareholder will get together and consider important agendas of the companies, the key one being to approve the audited financial statement of the company. After the AGM is held, the company is required to submit the updated list of shareholders and also the approved audited financial statement to the DBD, which is the Department of Business Development of the Ministry of Commerce. Here is the summary of important agendas which the company has to consider and approve at the AGM. The first one is that the company has to consider the director report. These are the reports prepared by the director outlining significant transaction or important events or businesses occurred with the company during the past fiscal year. The second one, as stated, is to approve the company audited financial statement. The next one is to consider whether the company shall declare dividends or not. The company can declare dividends only if it generates profit in the past fiscal year. The fourth agenda will be to elect director in place of the retiring directors required by law or as stated in the Article of Association of the company. The fifth agenda is to consider director remuneration. And the last agenda will be to appoint an auditor and to also consider remuneration to be paid to the auditor of the company for the upcoming fiscal year. So here are the summary and comparison of attendance requirement for the board of director meeting and also the shareholder meeting of both private and public companies. For board of director meetings, the board of director has to attend that meeting in person, which means that the board members cannot grant power to someone else via proxy for that person to attend the meeting on behalf of the board of directors. Of course, meeting of the board of directors can be held in Thailand or overseas, or it can be conducted via electronic means, which is known as electronic meeting, like we are doing now. As for the AGM or annual general meetings of the shareholders, the shareholder can attend the meeting in person, or he or she can grant another person to attend the meeting on his or her behalf. If the shareholder is a juristic entity or a company or corporation, the company has to grant proxy to a natural person or to an individual to attend the meeting on the company behalf. So similar to the board of director meetings, meeting of the shareholder can be held in Thailand or overseas or via electronic means. So in case the company could not comply with the statutory duties regulated by the laws, the company could be subject to certain penalties imposed by the Ministry of Commerce. Here is the summarized timeline and also the fines to be imposed on private companies. In case the company could not hold the AGM within the statute timeline which is within 4 months after the end of its fiscal period, the company could be subject to a fine of 12,000 baht. In case the company submit the list of shareholders after the statutory deadline, it could be subject to a fine of 2,000. This will depend on the signing authority also of the company. In case the company submit late audited financial statement, it could be subject to a fine of 2,000 baht. So in order to help affected businesses during the COVID-19 period, because of the difficulty in holding meetings due to the implementation and promotion of social distancing measures, which have made it almost impossible for companies to hold meetings in small meeting rooms, the DBD, which is the regulatory authority in regard to corporate compliance, has issued relief measures to affected businesses during the COVID-19 period who have deadline to hold the AGM. So the relief measure is granted to all type of juristic entity, whether it be private companies, public companies, trade association, and also chamber of commerce, who could not hold the AGM within the deadline. So the relief measures came in the form of waiver of the fines for late AGM. So in case the company could not hold the meeting within the statutory deadline, the company could apply for waiver of the fines by submitting a one-page request letter to the DBD in order to waive the fine for late AGM. Approval will be granted on a case-by-case basis. This is not an automatic waiver, so it will depend on the discretion of the DBD official whether to grant relief measures to the company or not. The criteria for their decision will be based on the fact that whether the company failure to hold the AGM within the timeline was caused by the COVID-19 situation or not. So the next key development in terms of relief measures during the COVID-19 crisis is the new e-meeting laws introduced by the Thai government. E-meeting laws have been around in Thailand for a very long time. It came out in the year 2014 by the National Council of Peace and Order. However, it was not very popular due to its impracticality and due to its restriction imposed under the relevant laws. Although it allows board of director meetings and shareholder meetings or members meeting for Chamber of Commerce and Trade Association to be conducted via electronic means, which is mean by phone or by electronic conference. It is very limited in terms of its attendance requirement. For example, at least 1/3 of the quorum has to attend the meeting physically in the same meeting room. That the board of director meeting has to have at least 6 directors attending the meeting. At least 2 directors has to attend the meeting physically in the same meeting room, while the remaining 4 directors or 2/3 of the quorum can attend the meeting electronically or via electronic means, joining Zoom meeting or Microsoft Teams meeting. However, this is further restricted because of the fact that the attendees attending the meeting via electronic means has to be in Thailand in order to participate in an online meeting. A requirement which for most people believe that it does not make sense at all, because that person, although joining the electronic meetings, has to be in Thailand in order to do so. So this is really restricted, especially for foreign majority owned companies who may have directors or shareholders residing outside of Thailand. So the new e-meeting law came out this year in April. Because of its timing, many people believe that this was just a temporary measure introduced by the Thai government to help affected businesses holding meetings during the COVID-19 situation only. But in fact, this is not true. It will continue to be applied even after the COVID-19 situation in Thailand has improved. So the new law on e-meeting came in the form of Royal Decree on electronic meetings. It solved all the issues created under the old e-meeting laws. Under the new laws, all attendees can now attend meetings via electronic means, whether by phone or by video conferencing from anywhere in the world. So there is no longer a physical attendance requirement, which is required under the old law. Similar to the old law, in order to hold electronic meetings under the new laws, the meetings still have to comply with certain security requirements. For example, all attendees must have their identity verified by the meeting organizer or by the chairperson of the meeting before the meeting starts. All attendees must be able to vote during the online meeting. For example, by a show of hand, by secret ballots, or by electronic voting in the system used to hold a meeting. Also, the chairperson or the meeting organizer is required to keep record of whether it's audio record or video record of the entire meeting in order for the meeting to be valid. Also, the meeting organizer is required to keep electronic traffic data log, for example, username, login, logout time, and also any technical errors occurred during the meeting as an evidence for the meetings to be legally valid under the new law. Minutes of the meeting, of course, has to be documented, whether in a physical format or in an electronic format. And also the notice of the meeting can now be sent via email. It has still comply with the law that it must be sent at least 7 days in advance in case of shareholders meeting. So under the old laws, companies or trade association or chamber of commerce must have provision in their article of association regarding e-meeting. So the article of association has to allow for e-meetings only in order for that juristic entity to hold e-meetings. Under the new law, because it would be very impractical and difficult for businesses to amend the article of association during the COVID-19 crisis, the Ministry of Commerce has given a leeway for all juristic entities to be able to hold electronic meetings, even if their article of association are silent about the possibility of using e-meeting as a way to convene a meeting. So that is the end of my part. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat box. And with that, I turn over to Kun Rungnapha.
Thank you very much, Kun Supasit, for your informative sharing. Now, please join me to welcome our second guest speaker from Thailand Board of Investment, Mr. Pallop, the Director of Thai Enterprise Development Division. He will provide an update on investment opportunities and BOI support measure. Turn to you, Mr. Pallop. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Rungnapha. So you can hear me, right, Kun Rungnapha?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pallop Bunsali from the Board of Investments. Right now, I'm act as a Director of Thai Enterprise Development. And today I'm going to present to you about the what BOI give to you on the investment in Thailand. Okay, let me share the slide here. Okay, today I'm going to show you in the 4 category or 4 topics that why you should invest in Thailand. And secondly, the introduction to the BOI and the investment promotion incentive that we give to the investor. And thirdly, the sector of opportunity, which one and what is exists in Thailand. And the last one is the BOI services. Let me get started with the quick look at the Thailand economic statistic. This is quite not up to date because of the situation of pandemic that gives the figure is look too good, but today, Thailand GDP normally have the size of 523.99 billion baht, and the GDP growth in last year is 2.4%. But this year we expected that the GDP growth will become to be minus at least minus at 8.5%. Currently, the report by the Bank of Thailand is 7.1%. We is the second highest household consumption in ASEAN, and we are among top 3 export base in ASEAN. You can see the reason that our GDP growth is slowed down because of the two parts. The first one comes from the tourism industry, which is take 30% account on the GDP of Thailand, and the second one is the export part that also take about 30% of our GDP. The slowdown in the export that make the Thailand GDP growth come to be minus. The first 5 highest export of 2019 is a motor car and car part, computer part, precious stone, natural rubber, and plastic. And the top 5 major trading partner is USA, China, Japan, Vietnam, and the 5th is Malaysia, which you know that we have lots of boarding trade between me and you. The Thailand competitiveness ranking, which ranked by the World Bank, the Thailand have ranked number 5 in Asia and 3 in the ASEAN ranking, and competitive to the global ranking is number 21. This is a quick look at the project from the Malaysia from 2015 to 2019. As of our database show that we have the 116 projects come from Malaysia with the total amount of 32 million baht, which count as let's say it's a quite small amount that it should be our duty to induce more investment from your country. On the second part, I will quick move on to the introduction to the BOI and the incentive and the investment promotion incentive. BOI provide the incentive to the investor who come to invest in Thailand by grant the tax incentive and non-tax incentive. The tax incentive we can give the corporate income tax exemption. We can give the 50% reduction of corporate income tax after expiry of tax exemption period. We can give the 50% corporate income tax reduction within 10 years. We can give the investment tax allowance, also the exemption of import duty on machinery and import duty on raw material to use for export purpose. For the non-tax incentive, we give this kind of incentive to facilitate the investor in order to make them doing the business easy. Like we give you the 100% ownership of the company. You don't need to have the Thai partner. You can own the land under being the BOI promoted company. Normally, the Thai law is not allowed the foreign to own the land. We can issue the work permit and visa for the under the promoted company to ease of issue the visa and work permit, and we have no restriction on foreign currency to limit the country between the current between the country. The BOI incentive investment incentive scheme, we do the we keep the let me see. Let me say like this: we keep the standard incentive. We divide into two schemes: standard incentive and the additional incentive. The standard incentive is based on the activity that you are doing on your factory. The more value that you add to the product that you manufacture in Thailand, the more year of corporate income tax will be granted. The additional incentive is a kind of incentive that is not come on the standard incentive. You have to do some kind of activity like a merit base or set up your factory in some area and some kind of agenda base that I mean the policy that give out by the BOI occasionally. Firstly, let me explain that the standard incentive. The standard incentive we can give up to 8 years. Like I said, that is depend on the value add up to your manufacturing product. We can give up to 8 years. And for the technology base that we are seeking to upgrade our country to be more advanced, like a target core technology, like biotechnology, digital technology, nanotechnology, and advanced material technology. We add 2 more years. That means if you are invest in this kind of technology-based industry, you can get up to 10 years of corporate income tax. So for example of additional incentive that if you need more, you have to do some researches and you have to support the academic research institute or technology and human resource development fund. For example of the area-based, if you set up your factory in the Eastern Economic Zone, which contain 3 provinces, Chonburi, Chachoengsao, and Rayong, you can add up 50% tax reduction up to 5 years. And if you set up the factory in the industrial estate zone, you can get another 1 year of tax exemption. And there are another scheme like set up in the southern border province, which is close to your country. We give a lot of incentive for that kind of project that situated in the southern part of Thailand. And for the agenda base, the purpose is to stimulate the investment to invest as soon as possible, not to delay the project. We will give out the more incentive, like if you invest now or within the next years, we will give up another 50% tax reduction. So this is a kind of a standard product-based incentive that I said. So from A1 to A4, that ranking from the the corporate income tax 8 years to 3 years. That means for the A1, it is the project that have a kind of a very high value and high technology, and down to A4, we give only 2 3 years. That means the technology is come lesser. And for the B1 and B2, it's the supporting industry that we still need those kind of factory to set up in Thailand, but it not use the high technology. So we don't give out the corporate income tax exemption. But the other non-tax incentive are granted to those projects almost in every aspect. This is the incentive that we give out for the special project that set up in the Eastern Economic Corridor, which now is on the development in the 5 large investment project that you know that we have the leveling, the airport leveling between 3 airports, and we extend the Utapao Airport. We extend the 2 deep sea airport in the EEC at the Lam Chabang and the Mataput. And the last one that we are developing is the digital park in Sriracha. So if you invest in the EEC, you will have the very good infrastructure, and it already have more than 50 industrial parks situated in this area. I think it's a world class of industrial estate. If you set up the factory in this EEC, you can apply for the additional income tax 3 to 5 years of 50% reduction of corporate income tax. But we have the limitation time to offer this kind of incentive. But you have to submit the application before December 21st in order to get the additional privilege to set up the factory or the project in the EEC. This is a kind of example. Let's see if you have a basic incentive, have an 8 years, and you do some additional, like a develop in human resource development, you get another 3 years. And if you set up in the EEC, you get another 2-year exemption. This kind of additional income tax, I would like to explain to you personally, because it's a kind of complexity a little bit, but not that hard to understand. For the stimulating the investment that I said is agenda based. Like we look at this year, the investment is going slow down. So we have the policy to stimulate this investment to invest now. And if you invest within this year by 100 million baht, you will get the 5 more year on corporate income tax reduction, but not less than 1 million baht for the end of the next year. You also get the 50% corporate income tax reduction. This is another kind of incentive that we urge you to invest now. And let's take a look at the sector of opportunity that already have in Thailand. We have the at least 5 sectors that have the opportunity: the machinery, electrical, machinery equipment, vehicle, gem precious metal, rubber, and rubber article. And this show the share and the total value of each sector. So Thailand is developed trending into the Thailand 4.0, which is the creativity and innovation to the smart Thailand. At the earlier state, the Thailand have the S-curve, which already set up the advanced agricultural, intelligent electronic, tourism, new generation automotive and food processing. This kind of the first S-curve have already set up in Thailand, but we are now looking to the new S-curve industry, which have more technology like a medical hub, digital, biofuel and biochemical, robotic and automation, aviation and logistics. This kind of new S-curve needs a lot more technology to put into the industry. So we give the 8 years tax exemption if you are invest in the new S-curve industry. The sector, firstly, I go to the food industry. The advantage of Thailand is that we have an abundance of supply of raw material. We have a lot of rice grow, we have a coconut tree, cassava, palm oil, and the rubber tree. We are the top 3 export base in Asia. In ASEAN, export total of 246 billion baht in 2019. And the food processing segment from minimally processed to moderate processed to highly processed, we also have those 3. I think in this sector, the Malaysia have shared a lot of share in this sector because of I used to work in the southern part, and I go to see the palm oil refinery. They have a lot of Malaysian take the share, but the major shareholder is Thai side. The opportunity in the smart electronic, let me see. The smart electronic, you know that Thailand is the base of the home appliance for a lot of companies from Japanese since 30 years before that they moved their production base to Thailand. And also we have electronic computer part and accessory Western Digital and Seagate set up the factory in Thailand. So, and for the sector of the digital industry, is at, let me see. Let's say if you take a look at the Thailand digital landscape, it is noticeable that the digital ecosystem is rather robust. Overall, Thailand expecting constant growth in the industry according to statistics by 2027, 25% Thailand GDP will be generated by digital related activity. Taking closer look at the relevant factor, with more than 50% of Thailand total population residing in an urban area, access to internet and mobile phone in Thailand is desirable. The mobile phone penetration is at 91.6 million subscribers, making the penetration rate of 130% of its total population. Meanwhile, the digital infrastructure in Thailand is also robust. The country was ranked the number 3, the fixed broadband speed test global index in April 2020. In addition to the robust infrastructure, currently there are around 400,000 ICT professionals working in the industry with capacity to produce more than 14,000 ICT graduates each year. Currently, government digital policy are now moving forward toward fostering innovation and new integration of new technology into Thailand digital landscape. Such technology include big data, cloud data center, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. So this is the player that already have in Thailand. And the Thailand Tech Startup ecosystem that we already have. And the next sector that we are talking about is the medical industry. With a solid healthcare infrastructure already in place and international reputation for its highly skilled medical professional and international standard medical services. Thailand has become a medical hub, not only for ASEAN, but also for the Asia and beyond. Presently, 600 medical device companies ranking from small and medium-sized enterprise to international giants contribute more than 22 billion US dollar into the market. In terms of services, the country has a universal public health care system covering more than most of the 69 population. Thai health infrastructure includes almost 1,400 hospital and medical facility with 386 private hospitals, and more than 60 are accredited by the Joint Commission International, which enable Thailand to become the 4th highest number of accredited hospital in the world outside the USA. Thailand also have the world 5th biggest medical tourism market according to the World Travel Tourism and Council, where visitors spend close to 600 million baht. ASEAN is one of the target medical device market within the region. Thailand is the largest medical device market. The value of Thai medical device market as of 2019 is around 20 billion US dollar. In terms of export, Thailand has the highest export value in the region. On the other hand, Singapore leads the region when it's come to the import value. Here is the name of the player in the manufacturing of the medical device. Okay, this graphic shows that despite the large number of domestic manufacturers, Thailand relies significantly on imports of the pharmaceutical product. According to the International Trade Center, last year, the country import pharmaceutical worth of 2.46 billion US dollar, 60% of which come from the United States, and 50% is come from the Germany. This reflects the fact that there is more room for enterprise to produce and expand their sale in the Thai market. As for the export, the market is also sizable. The Thailand export value stood at 581 million US dollar to the neighboring country. And I will move to the last section on the BOI services. I will touch a bit on the smart visa. The BOI grant, so-called the smart visa, that enable high-skilled professional investor, executive, and entrepreneur in startup in Thailand in 13 target industry, and their family to stay in the country to up to 4 years without having obtained work permit. This scheme is for the highly skilled person. The smart visa is designed to attract highly skilled manpower and investor to help accelerate the development of country target industry. A visa holder will be granted exemption from the work permit requirement and entitled to additional privilege. And the last services that I will talk about is the one-stop services that we provide to help the investor to speed up the process for investor from submission, application, contacting with related the government agency, provide the smart visa, work permit within 3 hours. The OSOS is located in the heart of the Bangkok. So that's gonna be about the BOI and the investment opportunity and support from our side. So if you have more information that you need, you can contact me at this number and the telephone number as shown in the screen. Thank you very much, Kun.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kun Phalok, on the sharing session. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Now we will go ahead and take some time for question now. It looks like we have a few questions in the Q&A box. For anyone who would like to ask the question, you still can leave your question in Q&A box. And then I would like to go to the first question now. Yeah. This one is relating to BOI. With the active Eastern Economic Corridor, will the Thai government have the direction or any business network development or investment promotion in Southern Thailand in near future? I think this one is relating more to BOI. May I call upon Kun Phalok to answer
Yes.
this question?
Yes. Right now, for the southern part of Thailand, we already have the project at the Songkhla, I think, but it was a protest by the protester. But the newly launched that was said by the Ministry of Economic, they try to make a connection between Andaman Sea to the South China Sea by extending the land bridge from the EEC to the Prachuap province and then connect by the land bridge to Lanong in order to export the goods from the Eastern Economic Corridor to the Andaman Sea in order to reduce the transportation time. But it's just the initiate project, not yet to be launched and announced.
Thank you very much, Kun Phalok. Yeah. I would like to take the next question now. Is this one is relating to law? There is a question from the floor asking that is the new law on AGM extended to next year or is a permanent change?
Oh, okay. So in regard to the relief measures for late AGM this year, this is not a new law. It's just a temporary measure introduced by the Ministry of Commerce to help companies who could not hold the meetings within the statutory deadline. So because of the COVID-19 situation, which has made it very difficult for companies to hold meetings due to the implementation of the social distancing measures, the Ministry of Commerce has granted a relief measures to waive fine for holding late AGM for this year only. Well, this again will depend on whether COVID-19 situation continue to be affected the Thai economy next year or not. We will have to wait and see for further announcement by the Ministry of Commerce, but we'll be sure to update members of the Malaysian Thai Chamber of Commerce in case there have been updates in regard to relief measures further introduced by the Thai government.
Okay, thank you very much. The next one is on the talent competitiveness. This one is relating to BOI presentation that the talent competitiveness is ranking at number 67. So what do the government or BOI doing about it?
The ranking is, I think, is not quite good in terms of ranking. That's why we have the scheme for the promotion for the investor to help us develop the student in order to serve this this channel. I would say like that. And also that's why we have the scheme for the visa or the talent visa. Right now the at that we is not competitive. That's why we give the smart visa for the smart person in order to come to serve this sector.
Thank you very much. So actually there is another question relating to smart visa stream. So meaning to say that this smart visa stream is also extended to non-BOI or non-BOI intensive company.
Uh, let's say the scheme is just only for the promoted company. Uh, because you have to be the promoted company, that's why the BOI can use this law to enforce the other agency.
Okay. Thank you very much. Another question is also relating to BOI. There is a question from the follower asking that is technology-based pen factory is under BOI incentive scheme as well?
Pardon the question again, please.
Is the technology-based pen factory is under BOI incentive scheme as well?
Is the technology-based plant factory under BOI incentive scheme? I think we promoted this kind of technology-based and give out the maximum incentive.
Let's see any other question from the floor. We encourage the participant to ask the question. So this is the time for you to get the direct answer from the OI side, and then as well as any question that you have relating to the law, because you have to expertise into segment for you to get more information now.
Kundang, I think there's a question on the floor about educational sector. Does international school qualify for BOI incentives?
Okay, for this question, I'm not quite sure, but I will answer your question by the mail after this session.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone would like to ask any question? You can raise your hand, or you can put in the Q&A box, or we can even allow you to have a live question. But please raise your hand.
If I may ask question to Kun Pallab, I was wondering whether in the upcoming year, in the year 2021, do you expect the BOI to issue any new categories of promotion, like new business? Do you expect for there to be new businesses to be promoted by the BOI in other sectors? Kun Pallab, I think you're on mute.
Okay, let's see. Every 7 years, we are revise the what kind of business that we want to have to come to invest in Thailand. And recently policy that we already use is 7 years, and we are now revising what's the new business that we should looking at. And for this situation on the pandemic, we also have like an agenda base to add up the some incentive to the manufacturing of the medical product. Let's say about this. That's all I have on this time. I'm sorry about that. For the question about the school for the international, we also have the category to promote, but it have to be the highly skilled and have a highly potential. So you have to do some some condition that to meet the promotion criteria.
Okay, thank you very much. It seems to be that they got a few more questions, especially to BOI. Yeah. Okay. There is a question from the floor asking that if there are any special incentive for halal industry in southern Thailand, any specific halal product segment targeted for encourage for the investor.
So we don't specific only to the halal food industry. Is only if you do the food processing in the southern part of Thailand, you eligible to apply for the BOI at the same maximum incentive, like get the 8 year of tax exemption. In the southern part of Thailand, that you mean the three province that close to the border or all around the southern part?
So thank you very much. There is a question asking that there is a project named Glad Canal. There is a, they just would like to get that any update on this project from BOI. Yeah.
I think it's not really concerned directly to BOI, but I think this project has a long story, but I think it should be difficult to happen because of a lot of protesters.
Thank you very much. It might take a long time.
That is just my idea. You have to choose between the industry and tourism. Which one is more important?
Thank you very much. Hello, there also have our list, our participant also would like to get more information. They would like you to, if possible, please elaborate more on the international trading company under BOI incentive.
So the trading company under the BOI incentive is the only the non-tax incentive that we give, where we give no corporate tax incentive for the international trade company. But the advantage that to be the promoted company is that you don't need to have the register capital up to 100 million baht. You can register, I think, maybe only 10 million baht if you are the promoted company. But you have to have the transaction at least like $100 million baht per year, something like that.
Thank you very much. I think that's all the questions we have right now. If there is any no more question currently, but if you have the further question later, you can also reach our great speaker through their email as shown on your monitor now.
Yes, I would glad to answer every question.
Yeah, both Kun Phalok and Kun Supasit. Yeah. And thank you very much for our two guest speaker for the presentation and then also during Q&A session.
Thank you,ครับผม
Thank you very much. Okay. Now is the ending of the session. Even as we are facing a complex situation, we hope that we could closely support each other and work together move forward to get through all the challenges ahead. Thank you all for attending, and we hope you enjoyed the session today. Stay safe and hope to see you in our next MTCC event. Appreciate if you
Thank
could
you very much.
provide a feedback to us when you receive our post-event email later. Have a nice day. Thank you. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you.
ครับก่อนนะครับ